Trump's looming decision. Will the US enter the Iran-Israel war? Global stakes, strategic options, and Africa's future. With the Middle East once again on the brink of full-scale regional war, allies are now on President Donald J. Trump as he prepares to announce, within 2 weeks, whether the United States will intervene militarily in the escalating conflict between Iran and Israel. This high-stakes decision could redefine the course of global security, reshape economic stability, and test the resilience of geopolitical alliances, with far-reaching consequences, particularly for Africa. Background: a region on fire. Tensions between Iran and Israel have reached unprecedented levels, driven by drone attacks, cyber sabotage, and growing proxy warfare. Iran's expanding influence through Hezbollah, the Houthis, and militias in Syria and Iraq has triggered increased preemptive strikes by Israel. President Trump, known for his tough stance on Iran, including the historic US withdrawal from the Iran nuclear deal in 2018, is now under intense pressure from allies, defense hawks, and foreign policy circles to act decisively. Yet, public war fatigue in America may force a more calculated response. The strategic options on Trump's table. 1. Full military engagement. Pros: shows American strength, reinforces US-Israel alliance, disrupts Iran's military and proxy networks. Cons: high risk of world war escalation, enormous cost in lives and resources, potential for long-term military entanglement. 2. Limited airstrikes and tactical support. Pros: demonstrates resolve without large-scale deployment, protects allies and energy interests. Cons: could provoke Iranian retaliation, doesn't solve deeper security threats, risks spiraling escalation. 3. Cyber warfare and covert operations. Pros: minimally visible, high-impact disruption, avoids public backlash. Cons: limited deterrence, may trigger retaliation, difficult to control. 4. Expanded sanctions and diplomatic mediation. Pros: projects leadership through diplomacy, preserves lives and global stability. Cons: could be seen as weak by allies, unlikely to stop Iran's short-term aggression. 5. Strategic non-intervention. Pros: avoids deeper conflict, aligns with isolationist policies, lets regional actors take lead. Cons: undermines US influence, risks Iranian regional dominance, could fracture US-Israel relations, global and geopolitical implications. Oil shock risk. The Strait of Hormuz, gateway for 20% of global oil, could become a battlefield, sending oil prices sky high and triggering global inflation. Great power, confrontation. A US move could provoke countermoves from Russia and China, risking confrontations through proxies or diplomatic gridlock at the UN. Nuclear proliferation. A larger conflict may push Iran to accelerate its nuclear ambitions, prompting Saudi Arabia and others to seek nuclear parity. How Africa will feel the impact. Though far from the conflict epicenter, Africa will not be spared the ripple effects of war. 1. Fuel prices and inflation. Countries like Ghana, Kenya, and South Africa rely heavily on fuel imports. A conflict could spike pump prices, leading to cascading inflation across sectors. 2. Geopolitical pressure. African states with deep ties to China or Iran may face US and EU pressure to pick sides. Others may see increased Israeli and Western engagement as diplomatic countermeasures. 3. Terrorism resurgence. A US pivot to the Middle East could reduce counter-terrorism focus on the Sahel, Lake Chad Basin, and Horn of Africa, creating space for groups like Boko Haram and Al-Shabaab to re-emerge. 4. Humanitarian crisis. Conflict-related refugee flows could pressure already fragile states like Sudan, Libya, and Egypt, and intensify migration toward Europe, stressing EU-Africa relations. 5. Aid diversion and economic setbacks. Expect development funds from the US and EU to be diverted toward military logistics. Africa may see cuts in education, health, and economic aid. What comes next? President Trump's imminent decision, military engagement, strategic restraint, or diplomatic containment, will define the next chapter in global foreign policy. Africa must not wait on the sidelines. Key steps for the continent: diversify oil sources and invest in renewables. Strengthen regional diplomacy and neutrality. Boost food security and local manufacturing. Deepen regional security coordination. Amplify African voices in peace negotiations and multilateral platforms. Conclusion. President Trump's pending decision on the Iran-Israel conflict may shape the geopolitical balance of the 21st century. While missiles may fly in the Middle East, their shockwaves will be felt in Wall Street, Cairo, Lagos, and Johannesburg. In this deeply interconnected world, no region is immune, and Africa's silence or passivity could be costly. Now is the time for strategy, solidarity, and preparation.